Welcome, everybody. The Kansas City Chiefs are well on their way getting ready for the Super Bowl, and I am well on my way to work on a nice Mobile tan. You can see here I am down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, but wanted to say hi and check in with you guys. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks here as we're covering the Senior Bowl. Dan is down here. Miss Avery is down here as well. I had dinner tonight in person, got that checked off of our list, and it was a great time. It was a big day in Mobile for all the prospects. And for the Chiefs, a couple of interesting notes that we'll talk about here in a bit. Now, our normal schedule is going to be a little bit off for the next week or so as we recover from this trip. And then I'm going to be at another location as well. So just keep an eye out for when we can post some of these. And tonight, I just wanted to say hi, give you a little extra live because I haven't had a chance to pre-record anything. And I know you guys are looking for it. We should all be rejoicing because the Chiefs were in full attendance down here. The higher ups are a little bit busy, but I saw a great contingent of the Kansas City scouting department down here, really going over everything that they had on their plate. Saw a number of representatives, and that means that they're still got their eye on the long-term ball as well, and I'm really happy to see that. Hey, Flapjack and Nick and JJ and Jeremy, nice to see you. Yes, Ryan goes red. It started out as an overcast day today, and then suddenly sun came out and decided to cook me to a crisp. It certainly works. I am a redhead after all. And so, hey, you got to deal with it how you deal with it. Did turn out to be pretty hot, but saw some good competition down here. I was focused today, particularly on the trenches for the offensive tackles, for the edge players in particular. Saw some guys that I think are going to be not in the first round that I think have the potential to help a team like the Kansas City Chiefs that need to get stronger at the edges of the trenches at offensive tackle and defensive end, and maybe not spend a top 40 pick on them. That's what I think we have to be putting our blinders on when we're talking about the Chiefs draft and preparation through this whole pre-season here, pre-draft season, I should call it, actually. Good to see you, Gary. Good to see you, Flapjack. I like the 45-24. What do you think the Chiefs can exploit in the Super Bowl? It is tendencies. Even though they did do a couple of extra things in the two playoff games so far, I still think they have a ton of optional plays that they can pull out depending on the personnel they have. They got to get healthy, and we have to see who they have available. But I don't think they've in any way exhausted what they had planned to do. Andy Reid is holding on to his playbook as he has. And I know some of you are going to jump on here and realize that I'm using headphones. I don't have the normal setup here while I'm traveling, but I'm trying to give you what I see here. So bear with me a little bit. And not to interrupt the thought, but yes, KL, there's a lot of Irish on this face. I'm just telling you. Andy, I think, has plenty left. It's how he can do it now. It depends on the injuries to the skill positions on offense. And honestly, I think part of what Spags can or cannot do is going to be dependent on L'Jarius Sneed's availability. I'm a little concerned about that. I haven't seen anything that makes me feel like he's going to be able to go yet. I am crossing my fingers because I think putting him in that position is difficult, and you have to know that he is a guy that can make or break a defensive pattern. I think obviously the rookie's played well in his stead, but I think if you can have him on the field, that allows you to be the defense you want to be. And that's all to say that the defense you want it to be is that aggressive, angry, tenacious defense that we saw against the Bengals. You can't have a letdown because you're not pissed off. You have to be able to raise your game back up to that. And I think that's the one thing that we have to guard against is seeing the players not be able to necessarily make that gear shift when they have to fire it back up. So that's what I'm looking for. A couple of your other questions in here. Sorry, I got to scroll to see them this time. Do you think Spanx would use the bear front to help the Philly running attack? I certainly hope that he does. And like I outlined, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, there's a fast bear concept where, again, it's an expanded NASCAR kind of package where it's Chris Jones as the lone D tackle and 4 D ends. So you still have the bodies to cover guard, center, guard, take away the A gaps and make them run on the outside where you can rally and bring some more help, make things tougher on the inside, which I think is where the Chiefs really get hurt at times. But you still have the athleticism of having defensive ends out there. And the nice thing about George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, and Dana had a great game against the Bengals, and I think he's got more in him. Those guys are technically defensive ends that can certainly come inside and play next to Chris if they do have to get up over guards. I'm comfortable with that. I think they both have the power in their bowls to get to the passer as well. The question is going to be, how long do the DBs have to survive? Because I think if they play as well as they did the other night, it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts bailing the pocket and running. And that's when you have to be a little bit nervous. Again, another injury that's going to play the part. It's not just Snead, it's Willie Gay. I hope that Willie Gay is going to be back, and if he is, then I think they have a much better chance of corralling Jalen Hurts when he does run. So we got a ton to go over depending on who gets back. Let's see. We could use some sun down here in the coastal bend of Texas. I like it, David. I like it a lot. And it is coming, I'm sure. Let's see. What other questions? How'd Foskey do? Foskey, it showed, honestly, everything that I've seen on film. He was super strong at the point of attack. He can set the edge. He just doesn't have that third gear. He's great. He's great down low. He comes out and he has plenty of oomph to get going. It's the finish. He doesn't have the blow-by speed. He doesn't have the first step. I didn't see it today. I still think he's got a little bit more to give because I have seen it on film from time to time. I just didn't see it all today. Foskey is one of those guys that I think is right on the edge of the first round. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be interested in that. He does lean towards the Chiefs style. They don't have to be the explosive first step guys that are going to round the corner. I think that's what this defense needs in particular. But, you know, Brett Veach, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, they're going to have their own way of doing it. But, Tyler, thank you for asking about that. Hey, I did get it to go up. That's good. Okay, good. Thank you, Eli. I appreciate that. Working hard on it here because it's a little bit iffy here on hotel Wi-Fi too. Have you had a chance to see any of the All-22 releases and all those rookie DBs held up against the Bengals? I have not, Kale. It should be out now, but I just haven't had a chance with everything we're doing down here in Mobile. I am going to be live over on the Locked On NFL channel later tonight with the whole crew. We have a bunch of people down here, and I'll be leading the discussion about the draft machinations here and what happened today. So if you have time, jump over there tonight and you'll hear a lot about the draft class from more eyes than just me. Let's see. That was that one. Can you see Jody playing wide receiver if Juju is unable to go? I think he actually could. It's just a question of, does he have the reps in that role? I mean, he can be asked to run a route. He's capable of running the route tree. I do have faith in that. It's, does he have the timing that he needs to have in the offense, especially if they're going to run anything that has intersecting routes, rub routes, anything like that. I question about whether he'll be able to have that timing with his teammates to not cause havoc. But you bring up a really good point, Brian. Even if they can't do that, I do think that one thing that they can do that is their advantage is that they can go into 13 and 14 personnel, and I think they can win with it. I think that helps McCole like not have to come back too hard. I don't know if McCole's going to make it back either. It helps Patrick not have to push the ball downfield into tighter windows than he has to. It does allow you to use Pacheco more. The question is, will Andy? So I hope that they do. I think that is one of the advantages in this coming ballgame. Lee, will Clyde be active if Juju and McCole cannot? Who gets called up? That's a great question. I think they activated Ely. I don't know if that means Clyde can't come back or not. I'm really not sure. I'm really waiting to hear tomorrow. Although I will be traveling again tomorrow, I don't know who they're going to activate. There are a couple options deep on the practice squad as well. I don't think you're going to see any kind of new acquisition that's actually going to play. So look for somebody that's already in Kansas City to get that call up. We'll see what happens. I don't have anything on Tony. Really surprised how well Dana played the run. Yeah, I got to say, he's rounding into – I mean, no one's going to confuse him for Aaron Donald, but he's a guy that can give you consistent snaps. He can help you out. He can be a rotational player that actually makes you better, and he's not just that guy that comes on the field when your star's worn out. I like what Mike Dana does, and he is just like the year that they draft him, what Coach Daly had to say about it is he is growing into this role. He's always been able to accomplish everything he's been asked of, and I think that is still the case. So we got a lot more coming for him too. Let's see, which safety in the draft could you see replace Juan Thornhill? I'm trying to see who can do it. Both the guys that I like are a little bit more naturally towards the box in this, and it is J.L. Skinner and Chris Smith from Georgia. Love them both, and I think they could play in this defense. And we did see Brian Cook play a lot of high snaps last week. If that's the goal, and Cook can be that guy with Reed that plays the 2 high, and you can have your third, your nickel, your box come in and be one of those guys. I'm comfortable with it. What I didn't see from Skinner today at the Senior Bowl that I wanted to see more of was him playing single high where he had to get to the sidelines. He wasn't pushed that hard today. I expect that will come tomorrow. And even though I won't be here for that practice, we will be getting the All-22 from it, so we will see it and we will have our breakdowns. Don't worry, as we go through the draft process for the Chiefs, we will definitely have everybody ranked out for the possible free agent losses. It doesn't mean that he's definitely going, that Juan Thornhill's definitely going to sign elsewhere. I think he's going to get an offer that's going to be better than what the Chiefs can afford. But I could be wrong. They're getting $16 million on the cap, so hey, it's going to be what it is. Do you expect to play? Who do you expect to play on the injured list in the Super Bowl? I feel like Willie Gay is going to be able to come back. I really do. I feel like Kadarius Toney is going to be okay. I'm concerned about everybody else. I'm really concerned about Juju, and I'm really concerned about L'Jarius Sneed. Concussions have a way of just dragging on and on and on, and there's no real easy way out of it. And so that's where I'm concerned with. Even the Eagles' defense is better. I think the Bengals, our Chiefs, can face just why is it the Chiefs' defense plays top defense good, but not the Bengals? And that's really the question. Like every team has certain matchups that just get at each other, and I think that's one of them. I said it 2 weeks ago. I think in the end, in terms of like who matches up well with the Chiefs and gives them a lot of problems, I think the Bengals were the tougher matchup. I do think that if you sleep on the Eagles and you let them run on you, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But I do think they have the options. Should we worry about Sean Payton next year? He is the Denver Broncos coach now. They gave up their first-round pick, and they're going to swap thirds next year. I think what you're going to see is an improved Russell Wilson. The question is, can they do anything, especially after giving the Russ picks away? Now, they gave away their first here. Are they going to have enough to rebuild their offensive line? Because in the end, Russ isn't enough. He has to be protected. And so for them to make a serious run at even coming close to pushing the Chiefs, I think that's a year or two away. But I think you will see some creativity from Sean Payton, and I do think you'll see them take a step forward. I think it's probably at the expense of the Raiders and possibly the Chargers. I don't think they get within breathing distance of the Chiefs yet. Miles, why isn't – okay, answered that one. Gary, did you see Hurd talk today about Patrick Mahomes? I did not. So I have no idea what was said. You all will have to fill me in at some point. I probably won't be able to pick it out of this chat, though. I'm sorry. Just too many. I did see this, though, Daryl, and thank you. And I see Kevin's. Can Chiefs relish the underdog role again since 80% of the money is on the Eagles? They should try to. They really should. I think that worked well. They've been such the powerhouse for so long. I think they ate it up, and I think Chris Jones in particular pushed that whole defensive front because they were disrespected, and that gave us that matchup. They got to conjure that up. They got to be Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, just make stuff out of the air so they can be that motivated. I do think that played a critical role, and I think that it will in this Super Bowl as well. The other good thing that they have about this is this is legacy. It's just 3 trips in 4 years, right? You win this second one, you're now at the beginning of a dynasty cycle, and you can see that happening. When you see how well last year's rookie class has contributed, how much we're getting out of this year's rookie class, and now they still have an extra pick or two in this coming class. This is how the record book will go down of someday there'll be a 30 for 30 on ESPN about how Brett Veach built the Chiefs dynasty. That starts by a second win. You don't get to a second win, you don't ever get to call yourself a dynasty. So I do think that the team is motivated by that too. Chris Jones, he's likely to get extended by the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll likely be his last contract. He may eventually get released, but I think Chris wants to stay in Kansas City, and I think that legacy is going to drive a lot as well. You see how the team reacts to him. I think that's going to be key. Sneaky Jesse Bates can replace Juan Thornhill. He certainly could. He will not be affordable, and I honestly don't think that he leaves the Bengals. There's so much animosity between the two teams. I'm really not sure that he'd even want to come to Kansas City over returning to Cincinnati. So I could be wrong, but we'll find out. Oh, let's see. Long or Ojulari over Foskey? Right now, I have BJ Ojulari above Foskey on my rankings. By no means complete yet. A few games of all 22 and watching live. That's all there is. So that is still very much a work in process right now. Let's see. Sorry, I didn't get yours up there. That was from David. Bring back Clark for on-field teaching, ditto Dunlap. I'd be more inclined to bring Dunlap back, to tell you the truth, because I think somebody's going to be willing, especially after playoff rank has reemerged. I think somebody's going to give him a decent contract that is going to be hard for the Chiefs to match. But maybe he likes winning too. You got to hope. They stuck through him this much. If he came back on a sub-10 million contract, I think they could stomach it. KL with all these picks in the upcoming draft, how tough is it to get a spot on this already loaded roster? There's room. If you're an offensive tackle or defensive end, there's room. There's going to be some subjective stuff in between as well. So I think if you play in the trenches, you got to get after it, because Derek Nottie is a free agent, Colin Saunders is a free agent, Brian Williams is a free agent, and Dan Shelton's a free agent. He hasn't even played, so I don't even know if you call that a loss. But there is a lot of rebuilding on the defensive front as well. Let's see here. Miles. Our people are saying Lucas Van Ness is a top 10 pick. He looks like GK, but has more unpolished to me. I have only seen him play live. I have not seen all 22 on him yet. And he's never even been a starter. He may have that kind of upside. A top 10 pick, there's no way that I see that. I will tell you that now. Just the fact that he wasn't able to start for his college team tells me that I personally couldn't spend a top 10 pick on it. Does it work out that way? You never know. It only takes one team. Somebody could get desperate. But I do think he has a lot of upside from what little I've seen of him, but we'll wait until we get a chance to break down his film, Miles. Thanks for bringing him up. Wink, maybe we don't draft anyone named Justin or Watson, just to lower the confusion. Hey, I certainly would appreciate that, Kansas City. It would help me. Do Chiefs consider clowning? Lee, I think they had a shot at that a year or two ago. I really don't think that they do. Crazier things have happened, but it doesn't feel like they were very interested. So I don't think that would have changed after this last season. Josh, how about Pat reaching 18 miles an hour on that bum ankle at the end of the game? Yeah, that is kind of nuts. And I think that's one of the things that when people start talking about, especially this time of year, about the miles per hour on field replacing the 40, I think it's kind of silly, because some of those numbers just get outlandish. It's about momentum, and it's about angular velocity that you already have because you're moving around the pocket. That's the thing that Patrick is absolutely excellent at, and that's turning rotational energy into vertical energy down the field, because he runs around so much he can just spin it out, and that really helps him, I think, get some of those first downs. So we'll talk about that. In my personal philosophy, I think adding miles per hour here, top speed reached on the field, is a great metric for understanding how guys play, but it also has to be tied to 40 times, which are really about acceleration. Not all guys even get to their top speed in 40 yards. It's got to be about the acceleration tied to the miles per hour, in my opinion. That's what I'm basing my parameters on when we get that data. Do you think the defense are going to play the same, just like they did in the AFC Championship, and get a good idea to double cover A.J. Brown? I think they have to bracket Brown with a safety over the top, and I would give them the least experienced, most physical corner that they have that can run a little bit. And I think Josh Williams, I think it's a better matchup to bracket with him and let Jalen have someone else that he might be able to do something. I think McDuffie on Devonta Smith is going to be a tough one. But without Snead, I think everybody's going to have a tough time with Smith. So you might as well take your lumps elsewhere. Yevgeny, thank you. Should the Chiefs target who should the Chiefs tackle for tackle position? There's a number of guys. I spent a lot of time today watching Freeland from BYU, Bergeron from Syracuse, and DeJuan from Ohio State. All the guys that are considered to be the second tiers. There's a top three, and you guys have seen them on my rankings over on NFL 33. If you haven't, go sub over there. It's behind the paywall, so you got to be a paid sub. But my tackle rankings are out. Dan's edge rankings are out, and then we're going to flip as well as do all the other positions with the rest of our staff as we're staffing up right now. So I like both those guys in concept. Anton Harrison's another one. There's a couple other guys that are fringe. I don't think that they're going to get a chance to take any of the top three. My favorite right now is still Broderick Jones. It does depend on where Skoronski decides or teams decide that he should play, whether it's guard or tackle. He's right up there as well. Daniel, hey, Ryan, does Justin Ross get a chance with offense this next season? He absolutely does. If he's healthy, he's under contract for futures. He will be in OTAs if he's healthy. That's my only question about him. can he recover? Has he recovered? Will he recover? That's what we have to know. He'll absolutely get a chance to prove he can. Did you watch any wide receivers today, specifically Hutchinson, one of my favorite two guys? I saw a couple of reps of him. I thought he did just fine. I saw one on, what's his name, the kid from K-State. His name totally escaped me right now. And I thought it was a pretty good battle over the middle. I thought Higgins from Stanford gave me a little bit more than I kind of expected from his film, so I was happy with that. Again, I'll go back and watch the All-22 practices here next week and give you guys more as we break that down. I'm trying to think of who else might have stood out for me on the wide receiver group. Not really ringing a bell right now. Like I said, I was pretty focused on the trenches, but I do think there's going to be some options there, Teddy. I will get back to you on a few more here when I get back in the States. Would you rather trade up to 20 and draft Paris if he falls? Or would you trade a first and a third for Tunsil? I do like Paris. I will admit he's the third of my top three. Tunsil's a known commodity. I think if you're going to spend that first, I'd rather get a known commodity. Chiefs have been doing that a lot lately, and it's going to be a question mark about do you tag and trade or try to tag and trade Brown? There's going to be some play in here. We'll see what happens in free agency first. Teddy, by the way, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Backup QB next year. Does Henry return? I think so. I think they'll always be willing to take a flyer on a rookie quarterback. I think the guy that everybody's forgetting about right now is Hendon Hooker, and I do think he should be a top 5 in this class. I am not really shy about that. What that does to the rest is, could the Chiefs get somebody interesting on day 3? I think there's a possibility. I think Brock Purdy proved that you have to consider that, and you have to be smart about it. If I had a perfect draft, I would be drafting B.J. Ojulari in the first, Freeman in the second. Okay. I can get down with that. BJ, I think, has to go into a 3-4 to be really effective, so that does require a scheme change, so just keep that in mind. Day 3 CBs to look at. Mullen from Indiana. Didn't get a good look at him. I haven't gotten that far down the CB list, to tell you the truth. I will tell you this. I thought the Illinois guys all battled well today. I think people count them out because they play at Illinois. I think there's not only going to be a first rounder or two, there's going to be some guys farther down too. So let's take a look at that. I did see one rep from Trey Palmer that I liked. I think he's got a lot of good upside. I just got to see more. And again, I should see that on the All-22 once I get back next week. We are just about out of time, folks, and I got to go get to that live stream for Locked On NFL. It should be on the Locked On NFL channel. It won't be on Locked On Chiefs. I will try to tweet that out if I get a chance. Otherwise, it'll be available on replay, and I will tweet that out for certain. Let's see. Last one from Teddy. Thank you for the super chat, Teddy. Also, did you like Haener or any of the QBs out for day 3? And Haener's the guy that I think he's going to go higher than day 3, though. I think he is in just outside. I think he's that tier 3 for me right now, at the top of tier 3. But he's ahead of O'Connell, I think. Trying to think of who else would be down there. But for me, it is very cleanly the top 2, then 3 more, and then Haener's in that 3rd tier. So we'll see what's available later. Thank you for that, Teddy. I appreciate your support. Last couple questions, folks, and we'll wrap it up for tonight. What are your thoughts on Sewell's brother, the linebacker out of Oregon? I think he's a gifted player. I think he's gritty. I don't think he's the athlete that we all hoped he was going to be. At least he didn't show it his senior year. I was also pretty disappointed with DJ Johnson today. Just didn't show me enough pop at all. He's got a decent lower body, but he definitely looks like a guy who's still making a transition, and I do want to see more out of him. So Oregon defenders better step up. Any players or position groups that you're more focused on at the Senior Bowl? Definitely looking at the offensive tackle, defensive end, but really like the kid from Northwestern at D tackle too. He's another like Saunders type, very quick, a little undersized. He's lighter by a good bit than Colin as well. But when we're talking about possible late day 2, day 3 guys at defensive tackle that can come in and become part of the rotation in Kansas City, I like him as well. Hey, good to see you, Matthew. Jason, what success that PM15 had this year and the cheaper weapons, do you think we'll spend more on defense next year? I hope so. but they also have to start drafting more weapons for him too. It's a continual reload for his weapons every year, all the time, no matter what. That's the way it's got to be. Geek on Harley, you are my last question tonight. Thank you guys for being here. If you don't know me yet, like, sub, hit the bell. I'm Ryan Tracy, performance coach, consultant, etc. Geek on Harley, thank you. Do you think that they will be able to use the extra money for the new cap? I would like to see them be able to balance out Chris Jones' contract, reduce in the first 2 years, and add that to the bundle. I don't know if that's going to have to include a franchise tag for Orlando Brown or not. I don't expect an extension, at least right now. I just think that they left it in a precarious position that maybe there's a lot more talking that has to go on before I feel like they're going to get that extension for Orlando Brown done at a reasonable number. So we will find that out. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to step aside. You should hear, I'll pre-record something for you tomorrow. Dan will be back. We're doing the travel thing here on this week. The Chiefs have a little bit more time on their hands than we do. So we're going to get back at it. And then look for us next week as we start to ramp up. Dan will have the Monday night Q&A. Make sure you're here for that. Give him good questions if you guys will. And we're going to slide right into our normal process. Should be closer to normal as we get ready for that Super Bowl. Don't miss the game plan the Friday before the Super Bowl. We will definitely have that for you, and I'm looking forward to it. You guys have a great rest of the week. You'll hear from us tomorrow and the next day as well, as Seth and Gary and the guys. So thanks for being with us tonight. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.